Good afternoon, everyone. So in the last class, we have seen how can we create anchor tags, again, how can we create paragraph tags. We have seen some basic concepts of HTML, and I hope all of them practiced with that. Okay. So in today's class, we are going to start a new topic. Okay, that is CSS. We are going to see how to add the decoration part to the web pages. Okay. So before we move to CSS, we'll go with a new topic. That is how to add image into the HTML. Suppose I'm having an image, I want to take it from my folder and add it to the HTML. So how can I do that? Let's have a look. Okay. So first of all, let me open one folder where I have an image. One minute. Okay. So once the file explorer is open, you can just select any one of the drive where all the images are stored. So suppose I'm selecting one of the folder here. Suppose these are some images. Suppose want to display this image on the browser. I will take it from here, display on the browser. So whenever I need to do that, what I do is in the HTML, I'll be using a separate tag which will take the image from my folder and display on the web page. And the tag is called as img tag. The tag is called as img tag. Img represents image. Okay. So right here, image space src equals to. Now what is src? Src stands for source. Src stands for source. Okay. Now what's the meaning of source? Source is nothing but from where you're getting the image. What is the location of that image? That is called as source. So basically what you should do is just select the image, right click on the image. Okay, select and right click on the image. You will find in one properties option there. So if you see here from the list of list options, at the end you might be finding properties option. So select that properties option. So once you select the properties option, here two things matters very important. Okay, see. The first one is your image name. Second one is the image type. First one is the image name. Second one is image type. And the last one is location where the image is stored. So location, image name, and image type matters a lot. Okay. So first of all, what you should do is copy the location from here. Okay. The location is D drive, cars images folder. In that again, cars images folder. In that Audi Q8. So copy that and paste it here inside the SRC. Right. So after pasting it, what we'll do is again we'll keep a backslash. Backslash means what the location is frozen there. Okay, I need to take what? I need to take the image name. So suppose image name is quite unfamiliar. I take here car image. Car hyphen image. Okay, so we can just press OK for now. So that will change the name. Okay, so again right click and properties. So once you select the properties, again select that what will say image name. Okay, select the image name and paste it here after the slash. After after pasting the image name, it is mandatory to check the image type. So what is the image type here? JPEG. Okay, that's nothing but .jpg type. So you can write here simply at the end .jpg. Suppose the image is PNG type, so write here .png. So specifying what type of image it is very compulsory. So write here dot JPG. Okay. So like this, you can insert the image location into this image SRC tag and display it on the browser. So what this image SRC tag will do, it will take the image from this particular location with this image name and with this type and display on the browser. So once you check the output, see website 2, refresh it. Okay, so we have a problem here. See, so what is the problem? Underscore image. So this image is not working. You should make a different image. Suppose I'm selecting this image. So same thing. Properties. Select the location first because I've changed the location right now. Select the location. Backslash. After pasting the location, take the car name or take the image name and paste it. And what type of image it is? The image is .jpg type. So write there .jpg at the end. .jpg. Okay. So now go to the browser and check it once. Still we have a problem. Oh, so first of all, do one thing. Just copy this image from here. Right click and copy the image from here. Copy it, come to the PyCharm and paste it here. Right click. In that particular project, you need to paste the image. That is only in PyCharm. If you are using any other editor, you should do it this way only. Copy that location and paste it here. But in PyCharm, we should paste the image first. Okay, now check the browser. Still the same problem. We can write car iPhone 13. Right. So if you observe here, the image is coming up. Okay. The problem was actually if you are doing PyCharm, you should copy the image. Okay. Suppose I've copied this image and I've pasted it here in the project. Okay. Now whatever image name is there, you have to call it here in the SRC. But if you are using normally Notepad, if you are using VS Code and all, that will not be the concept. You should copy that location, okay, the image name and image type. That is the right concept actually. But in PyCharm, we don't have the option. You should paste it to the project first, and then you should write only the image name into this SRC tag. Okay, then only image will be coming on browser. Clear? Now suppose you're saying that suppose I'm giving any wrong name. I'm giving here car underscore 13. We don't have any file with the name car underscore 13. So if I refresh the browser, I won't get any image. I'm getting a broken image. Okay, that logo is showing what broken image means there's no file with that name. That's the meaning of that image. That's the meaning of that icon. Sorry. So saying that I'm not able to understand what is the icon displaying, what is the icon trying to see. Okay, so what we'll do is after this SRC, we'll write here alt. Alt means what? Alternative text. Alt stands for alternative text. Means if the image is not working, display the text. So what is the text? I'll write here car image. Means if the image is not working, see. So if I refresh it, display what? Car image. So now person can understand, okay, the image is not working, but the image is not working as car image. Suppose the logo is not working, so you can write the alternative text as logo. So the person will understand, okay, that image is acting as a logo there. Okay, that's the concept. But if you make the correction, suppose I'm giving the right name, instead of that text, you get the image. Clear? Now we are saying that the height and width is quite height is very big also of the image. Okay, to decrease the height. How can you do it? See, you can decrease both height and width and show both the concepts. So right here width equals to suppose 300 px. Make sure width should be always in integer format and at the end px or percentage is compulsory. Mentioning px, that is pixels, or percentage is compulsory. Okay, so if you refresh the browser, the width will decrease. Okay, the actual size of width will decrease and become 300 px. In the same way, you can decrease the height also. Take the height attribute. Height equals to suppose 150 px somewhere. That is quite unfamiliar, but you can check it. Okay, suppose I'm decreasing the height to 400 px. Have a look. Okay, so like this you can just increase and decrease the width and height of the image. So this is the image tag. This is helping us to display the image on the browser. Okay, now we'll go with the next concept, that is CSS. This was the basic concepts of HTML. Okay, which will be helping in Django also. And we hope all of you are clear to me. Okay, now let's understand what is CSS first. So basically CSS stands for what? Cascading Style Sheet. Cascading Style Sheet. Okay, that's the full form of CSS. Now there are three types of CSS. Three types of CSS. Okay, the first type is called as inline CSS. Second type is called as internal CSS, and the last one is called as external CSS. First one is inline, second one is internal, third one is external. What's the difference between the three? We use inline CSS for a specific tag, or you can write here to decorate a specific tag. Okay, why do we use internal CSS? To decorate a whole page. Okay, why do we use external CSS? To decorate multiple pages at once. Okay, we use inline CSS to decorate a specific tag. We use internal CSS to decorate a whole page. We use external CSS to decorate multiple pages at once. Okay, so today we'll see the examples of inline CSS. Now, so starting with inline CSS, CSS should be applied inside the HTML only. The CSS should be always applied inside the HTML only. Okay, so how will write? We'll write here first HTML open and HTML close. Inside this, it will contain its tag, heading tag. Okay, that is denoted by head tag. Head will contain what? Title. What is the title? Suppose CSS concept. Okay. Now, after head, HTML contains what? Body. So open and close the body tag. Now, suppose in body, I'm writing a simple H3 tag. I'm taking the H3 tag and writing welcome to home page. I'm writing a simple message, welcome to home page. If I go to the browser and refresh it, I get the same text, welcome to home page. But I'm saying that by default, the H3 tag is giving me the color black. It is giving me the font color black. I need to change the font color. My requirement is changing the font color. How can we do that? We can use the inline CSS. We can use inline CSS. So right here, HTML program for inline CSS. Okay. Now, so how to use inline CSS? Like I said, inline CSS is only used for a specific tag. So inside this tag, you want to change H3, right? So inside the tag, give a space. Okay, and CSS is always denoted with the attribute style. Okay, CSS is always denoted with the attribute style. So write style equals to font. Font means what? Font is nothing but the text font. Okay, what if you do one thing? You have to change the color, right? So write here color. So color represents what? Font color. Color represents font color. After color, color is compulsory. Okay, after colon, mentioning what color you want is compulsory. After colon, mentioning which color you want is compulsory. Okay, and we should be ending with single CSS. This is what CSS. We should be ending each and every CSS with a semicolon. We should be ending each and every attribute of a CSS with a semicolon. So now if you go to the browser and refresh it, you can see the color is changing to red. So that is the use of inline CSS. Okay, how do we do it? I'll repeat again. Inside the tag, we'll use the style attribute. In the style attribute, we'll pass the configuration for which part you want to change. So my part is the font color, so I'm writing that color. Colon. After colon, we should mention which color we want to change. So I'm writing that red. So from black, it will change to red. And after that, semicolon is compulsory. Clear? Now, suppose I want to increase the font size of the text. So how can I do it? I write here font hyphen size. Colon. Suppose I'm writing 25 px semicolon. Okay, so after semicolon, you write another attribute. Okay, you write colon there and you write your value. And each and every value should get into the semicolon. Refresh your browser. You can see the increasing font size. So like this, you can work with inline CSS. Okay, no matter how many tags you have. Suppose you have a paragraph tag stating I am learning CSS. So you can change this tag also. So inside p tag you write style equals to, suppose I'm writing here color. Okay, suppose I'm taking blue color, semicolon. So if I go to the browser and refresh it, see, I get the paragraph in blue font. I'm learning CSS. If you want to add the background color also to this font, you can add it. How will you add it? You write here background hyphen color. Background hyphen color. Okay, so background color, nothing but suppose I'm taking black. I'm taking black and semicolon. So if you go to the browser and refresh it, you can see the background color is black. Only for the specific tag. Only for that tag it is black, not for any other tag. So that is the meaning of inline CSS. Okay, this is the concept of inline CSS. In awesomeness, I know all of it here, right? Now. So this is one of the importance of inline CSS. To change a particular tag, we use the inline CSS. Now, what's the drawback of inline CSS? Suppose there are 5 paragraph tags. Suppose there are 5 paragraph tags. You are saying that for all of the paragraph tags, you use the same font color. Okay, you need the same font color. So again and again, you should do what inside the p tag. You should take the style attribute, take here color, and you should write here red, semicolon. So for each of them, it should be done with the same thing, right? Okay, style, color, red. Now what will happen? That will take lot of time. That will be taking lot of time. Okay, to write separately the inline CSS. So what does HTML suggest is, whenever you want the same change for the same tags, so instead of using inline CSS, you can use internal CSS. You can use internal CSS. Now what is internal CSS? We'll have a look. HTML program for internal CSS. Very simple. We'll remove this. Now, internal CSS should be always written in the head tag, where inside the head tag, okay, down to the title. It should be denoted with another tag that is style. It should be denoted always with the tag style. Style open, style close. Inside this, we write the tag name for which tag we want to change the color. Suppose I'm writing p tag. Okay, now as of we don't have any inline CSS or internal CSS for H3 tag, by default the color will change to black. Okay, and these are what? These are the 5 paragraph tags, and this is the H3 tag. Now my requirement is what? I need to change the paragraph tag. So I'm writing here P, because each and every paragraph tag is denoted by P letter. After P, you open a pair of flower brackets. You open a pair of flower brackets like Python dictionary format. So here I write color colon. Suppose I'm writing green. I'm writing green semicolon. So now what will happen? How many paragraph tags are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. For all these paragraph tags, okay, it will be applied the color as green. Suppose I change the text tag right here. Paragraph 1. This is paragraph 2. This is paragraph 3. This will be paragraph 4 and the last one is paragraph 5. Okay. Now, if you go to the browser and refresh it, you can see for all the paragraphs, it will be green color. Okay, paragraph 1 is green color, paragraph 2 is green color. So like this, you can work with internal CSS. Now, suppose I write here font hyphen size, that is suppose 25px. So I'm changing the font size also. So that will be affected for all the paragraph tags. See, refresh it. So the font size of all the 5 tags will be changed. So whenever you want to add any decoration for the whole page, you should go for the internal CSS. Go for internal CSS. Now suppose you are saying that there is no background color for the body. The body is in white color. Then can't I change the background color? You can obviously change it. Okay. So you have to change the background color for which tag? Body tag. Because in the body all the stuff is presented. So right here body and flower brackets. So I'm passing CSS for body. What is that? Background hyphen color. Suppose the color I'm taking here is yellow. Okay, colon. So if you go to the browser and refresh it, you can see the background color changes to yellow. So like this, you can decorate your website in more clear way using internal CSS. Okay. Now, okay. Now saying that, suppose we have an H3 tag and we have 5 paragraph tags, right? Now suppose you're saying that I want to represent each of them in a separate block. I want to represent each of them in a separate block. In the sense what? I'll explain you. Suppose you're saying that this two should be coming in one block. Okay, then again I'll take the H3 tag and I write here block 2 and here I write block 1. So block 1 is containing one heading 3 and one paragraph. Block 2 is containing one heading 3 tag and one paragraph. Right? Okay, so that's the concept here. Means each and every paragraph and each and every heading tag should be coming from different blocks. So if I simply write block here, what is happening? Heading tag is not changing, but the color is changing for the paragraph tags. The color is changing for the paragraph tag. I'm saying that I want to change the color only for the first paragraph, not for the second paragraph. I want to change the font color of the first paragraph. Let the paragraph to be in black color only. Then how can we do that? See. First of all, we should be representing each of them into a separate block. We should be writing each of them into a separate block. Okay. So whenever you want to represent the block, you will be using a tag called div tag. You will be using a tag div tag. Div means block. Okay. So div will open here and div will close here. Div tag will close here. So this is one block. In the same way, here also will write div open and will close it down with this paragraph tag. Div close. We should be inside the div. Clear? So this is one block, that is one block. The first div is representing first block, second one is representing second block. Now I want to change only the paragraph. Okay, suppose I remove this H3, you understand it better. That is giving some problems. Okay. So if you refresh it, we have both of the paragraph 1, paragraph 2, right? Both of the font colors are same, correct? Both of them are green color. But I am saying that the font color should be changing only for the paragraph 1. For the paragraph 2, it should be by default black color only. So how can we make the changes? See. So here comes a new concept, that is identifier concept. Okay, now what is identifier, sir? Identifier is nothing but it is used to represent a specific block. It is used to represent a specific block. Okay, it is having its own name. Okay, but once you can copy this letter in your notes, but once the name is given to a specific block, the same name cannot be given to another block. Okay, now hashtag, the hashtag symbol denotes ID tag. ID means identifier. Okay, I write here identifier or ID. Both are same. Okay, so what is identifier? It is used to represent a specific block. Whatever name you are passing for one identifier, the same name should not pass for another identifier. An identifier is represented by which symbol? Hashtag symbol. When do you use hashtag? I'll say. Okay. Now, what I'll do is, I'll be giving the name to the div tag. What is the name? I write here space ID equals to block 1. So here ID means what? Identifier. What is identifier name? Block 1. Now block 1 is representing this paragraph. Whatever is there in this ID tag, whatever is there in this div tag is represented by block 1. In the same way, for the second div, I'll be giving here the ID as block 2. The ID as block 2. Okay, now I will change the formula from this paragraph, paragraph 1, right? So what is happening here? If I take p tag, it is changing the formula for all the paragraphs. But my limitation is what? It should be only changing for paragraph 1. Paragraph 1 is present where? In the block 1, right? So right here, block 1. Now what is this block 1? Block 1 is the identifier. ID means what? Identifier. Now, so block 1 is the identifier. So here we will write hashtag block 1. So hash represents that we are passing the CSS for the ID tag. For which tag? For the identifier. What is the identifier name? Block 1. So only for that particular block, it will be changing color as green and font size as 25. Check it. Check the output. For paragraph 2, there is no change. It is by default black. So that was the requirement, right? Okay, so like this, if you want to change only a specific paragraph, or if you want to change a specific tag, you go with this ID concept. Okay, that's very simple. Now, okay, so this is the concept of ID. The next thing is what? Next thing is class concept. Next is class. So class concept is very easy. Okay, here identifier is doing what? It is used to represent a specific block. But class is used to represent multiple blocks at once. Okay, class name can be saved for multiple blocks. Okay. The PDF symbol represents class. Okay, so when do we use class? When you want the same CSS for the same tags, when you want the same CSS to be applied for all the tags, that time we use the class concept. Okay, and how does it represent? With the PDF symbol. So now suppose you are saying that you want the same color for how many paragraphs you are there, that many paragraphs same color should be there. Okay, so that time what we will do? See. So right here instead of ID, class. Class equals to, suppose I am writing here class 1. The class name is class 1. The same name I pass here also. Class equals to class 1. Okay. Now, suppose in this div class, okay, the class 1 we have a h3 tag stating block 1. Now here in this div class, okay, second one we have h3 stating block 2. Okay, now what I'll do is on the top I'll change the CSS. I'll write here dot. Dot means what? Dot represents the class. Okay, this class is represented by dot in that style tag. What is the class name? Class 1. It means that I'm passing all the CSS for class 1. So right here, color code. Suppose I write here blue. So for all of the text, okay, for H3, for paragraph, for all of them, the blue color will be applied. See, refresh it. So for block 1 also is blue color, for block 2 also blue color, for the 2 paragraphs also both of them are blue color. So whenever you want to change the content, and if you say that content should be same for whole page, that time you should go for the class concept. So that is the difference between class and identifier. Identifier is represented for a specific tag, and whatever name you are passing for one tag, that should not be repeated for the second tag. But class name can be same for multiple tags. Okay, so this is a concept of internal CSS using ID and class. So I hope you understood how to insert images, how to use inline CSS, how to use internal CSS. Okay, so today you practiced to here. In tomorrow's class, we'll go with the external CSS and bootstrap concept. Okay, thank you everyone.